Warning, potential alien threat is loose and must be quarantined. Hello everyone, it's Sarah here, ready to bring you another exciting review for Alien Earth, with this week's episode titled The Fly. Quickly though, before we begin, please like, share and subscribe to the channel, and that's it. Grab your security button, let's round these critters up. Last week we got a flashback episode that revealed all the little details of what happened to the crew aboard the Maginot before it ultimately crashed into Prodigy City and put 5 highly dangerous alien species in the hands of an evil corporate douchebag, Boy Cavalier. This episode, however, continues in the present day, following the inhabitants of Neverland Research Station. It feels both like a filler episode but also setting up several plot lines for the end game, making it as important if forgettable episode in the series. What I mean is a lot of stuff happens and also nothing happens. Anyway, strong performances as usual. Wendy really gets to shine this episode and we unfortunately say goodbye to 2 amazing characters with big hearts. There's some intense moments, especially the ending of the episode, but also some really character-centric moments early on. That helps define the key players of what's gonna happen next. Okay, spoilers are now inbound. I'll give you a moment to skip to the timestamp on the screen if you want to avoid any juicy tidbits. Still here? Alright, let's get bound to business. The episode begins with Wendy in the lab, studying some of the strange creatures while Cavalier recites some Peter Pan philosophy. The chestburster has grown up a little bit, now having legs and arms, but it recognises Wendy, almost having imprinted on her as its mother. But it does not enjoy being in a glass cage. It feels trapped and becomes a bit hostile trying to break out. Kirsch assures Hermit that the glass is unbreakable. It's not going anywhere, but even if it did somehow manage to break out, she did kill a full-grown adult, so this shouldn't be a problem. Hermit discusses what happens after the project is over, and Kirsch says that Wendy will never be able to come home with him, and she won't want to either. She's capable of outliving any human, with unlimited learning potential and other abilities. A life of just being a family isn't what she wants. Meanwhile, the doctors are running tests on Nibs, because she claimed she was pregnant. Of course, there's absolutely no signs of any kind of pregnancy, but unfortunately there's also no signs of any physical or programmable damage, so no easy fix, it's all psychological. Cavalier's bold henchman tells them to reset her memory to before she entered the crash site, but this could fuck her up even more, and so the doctors protest. But he reminds them she is just property, and so while Arthur absolutely refuses, Dame agrees to do it by herself if she has to. While this results in Arthur being fired and told to get the fuck off the island. If he doesn't, he'll be seen as trespassing and shot. Damn. Hermit and Wendy have a deep convo about the nature of the alien creatures. He sees them as nothing but dangerous killers, but she says so is the human race. When he tries to explain how humans are different, basically citing that xenomorphs are animalistic, she counters by saying that we allow bees and ants and lions and bears and so forth to live on our planet as well. Okay. He changes the subject to possibly leaving the island, and just as Kirsch told him, she doesn't want to go. She wants to stay and learn and study these things. We cut to the upper suites where Cavalier meets with Yutani as well as a mediator to go over all the legal logistics about ownership and such. While she is calm, composed and respectful, Asswad Cavalier puts his nasty dirty feet on the table and starts picking at his toes, constantly being rude and interrupting both Yutani and the mediator. As much as I hate this guy, the actor is fantastic. He really nails the spoiled rich kid who thinks money can make all problems go away and control the world. It totally fits the universe that they've established in this series, harkening back to characters like Burke from Aliens, and I'm here for it. I hope this guy gets a brutally painful, deserved death by the end, but I also hope the actor gets recognised for his talents. While given that we know who runs things in the future Alien films, no matter how much it seems Cavalier and Prodigy Corporation seem to have the high ground, Yutani is the one who's gonna walk away the winner. What's curious is that Morrow is also here in attendance, and his whole purpose is to sneak in and extract the creatures, or at least some samples. But the meeting comes to a surprising deal between Yutani and Cavalier. She pays him 20 trillion, and he gives her the specimens, after a 6-week quarantine that is, just enough time for him to study them, patent any useful findings, and even clone them if necessary. This fucking guy. Maybe Morrow will have to steal them after all. Morrow, the crafty son of a bitch he is, plans to use some military-style tactics and spread some false information, cause chaos, and in the confusion, raid the place. As he's leaving the meeting, he's reunited with Kirsch. Now remember, Kirsch knows their whole plan, but Morrow doesn't know that. Morrow tries to threaten Kirsch, telling him some war stories about the man versus AI conflict, a reference to the Blade Runner films which also exists in this universe, at least according to Ridley Scott. But Kirsch is unfazed, telling him that he thought half of the fun of killing something was knowing that they would feel pain and suffer. Creepy. Dame successfully removes Nib's memories, but I can already see that this is gonna backfire horrendously, because the other kids won't really understand why she needed her memories erased, and most likely will slip up and break her all over again. Which happens right after, when Wendy goes to see her and talks about the crash, Nib's baby and all that. That was quick. You would have thought they would tell him not to do that. Once again, we get narration by Boy Cavalier, reading Peter Pan, while he gets a montage of scenes of all the different characters. Slightly is having a nervous breakdown about what he needs to do, and Smee doesn't understand why he's so cranky, but slightly brushes it off as just being a grown-up now. Hermit, meanwhile, is working on some kind of escape plan, drawing a map of the place when Slightly shows up in his room. Oh no, don't do it yet please. Slightly asks him to come along. Hermit is skeptical though, especially since he's acting really weird. Luckily, a security officer shows up and asks Hermit to join the patrol because they're a man short. Morrow interjects into Slightly's head and tells him he needs to figure this out, reminding him of what's at stake, his brother and his mom. While on patrol, Hermit asks his friend about the docks and the boats lodged there and how close they are to the mainland, and Siberian stops him right there. They're alive and being paid, which is better than their former situation, so he needs to cut this shit out right away and not fuck it up for him. He asks her what about the monsters though, and she replies she's here, and as long as they are too, she feels somewhat safe, because at least she knows where they are. This hints that she understands quite well how these companies operate, and that if given the chance, one of the 5 major corporations would love to decimate and destroy one of the others by unleashing a dangerous biological weapon, such as the Xenomorph. Also, this line is a cool callback to Vasquez from Aliens, Badass.
I only need to know one thing, where they are.
Jumping back to the lab, the Xenomorph is now almost fully grown, so a teenager? And she's speaking to it, mimicking their sounds, and the creature responds in a similar way. This idea is taken from several novels in the expanding universe, namely the Rage trilogy, the Cold Forge, and the Music of the Spears, where they dove into Yutani and other corporations learning to control the Xenomorphs, with both telepathic links and even simulating their sounds. It's kind of cool to see in live action, but again, given we know the future of what will happen, anything they learn here is either going to be lost or destroyed because no one has these advantages. Kirsch has to leave on an urgent errand and instructs Isaac to check in on the creatures, make sure they're fed, locked up, all that, and above all, follow the checklist to the letter. Or as he puts it, the scientific method is a checklist, not a suggestion. The strange eyeball tentacle is still melted inside the poor sheep, and it studies Isaac while the Xenomorph looks restless and wants out of the cage. We get a quick glimpse of the strange plant thing's tentacle, and finally a small scene of the strange spider wasp. Looks like it eats some kind of weird blackened eggs. While Isaac is trying to feed it, he accidentally breaks the feeding door and has to enter the containment cell physically. I'm sure this goes way against protocol and Kirsch would be quite upset. The eyeball sheep tries headbutting the glass, scaring Isaac, who lets the door close behind him, locking him in with the spider wasp. Way to go, buddy. Now these cells have been super reinforced, as Kirsch stated before, so he can't break back out. But oh shit, what is that? This ugly spider wasp thing with a big old nutsack for its face lands on his arm and spits out some kind of digestive liquid that completely melts through and fucks up Isaac's face. Gross. But it looks like the bugs don't care much about biological matter and continue to spit up their goo and melt this poor guy, drinking him up. Royally fucked. Oh man, Isaac was one of the good kids, should have took Curly with him. Wendy confronts Dame about Nibs and Dame lies, saying the memories were corrupt and that they had to delete them or it would infect the rest of her mind and eventually cause a break, which I guess isn't a total lie but more of a half-truth. Dame then tries to flip the conversation on Wendy, asking her why she goes to the lab so much, and she gets defensive, saying that the aliens didn't ask to come here and someone has to watch them. She then goes on a rant about how she doesn't want to be a person anymore because people hurt others just because they can. I'm starting to theorise that it's not going to be Morrow who lets these creatures loose, and instead Wendy is going to let them out like some kind of animal activist maybe. Arthur is gathering up his belongings when Hermit goes to visit him, and he just comes right out and says it. Is Marcy safe here? Well, with nothing to lose but also still not wanting to get shot, Arthur feigns that she is totally safe. This is the best facility in the world. Just come over to the computer and you can see all her vitals and statistics for yourself. However, on screen, Arthur has typed out his real message to get her and get the fuck off the island. He also hits a key that disables all the trackers, which would allow Hermit to disappear with her without anyone being the wiser. As Hermit leaves, the computer beeps at Arthur, and it alerts him that Toodles, aka Isaac, is offline. Last location in the lab. Uh-oh. Poor Arthur is about to become a snack as well. Why is it always the good ones dying first? The episode wraps up with Slightly breaking into the lab while Kirsch watches the security footage via the tablet. Arthur enters just as Slightly is trying to get in, thinking that he is also looking for Isaac. Oh no, is Slightly going to use Arthur as the vessel? Oh, I hope not. The two find Isaac's body pretty quickly and are shocked by the sight. Arthur quickly opens the door and tries to drag the body out. But dude, have you forgotten that there are alien bugs in there, or what? Slightly then unlocks the door to the eggs while Arthur is busy. And well, guess who wants a facehug? Also, I couldn't help but laugh because every time they show the sheep, the eyeball is huge, sticking out the side of the animal's head, and it just looks hilarious as it looks around the room. Over on the plane ride, Cavalier notices something is up with Kirsch and asks him if everything is okay back at the lab. And interestingly, Kirsch lies and says it is a-okay. I knew it. I told you that this guy was going to end up letting the shit hit the fan because he's curious to see what happens. Lordy be damned. Slightly hides Arthur's body in one of the vents, but also forgets to close the door to the cell with the bugs in. And now they're free as well. Shit is about to go all sorts of sideways. The door to the facehugger eggs is also still open, and there's still 3 more eggs unhatched, so that's definitely gonna spread some more nastiness. The last shot is of course the eyeball sheep as it grins. What the fuck? And that wraps up the episode. Honestly, it was pretty fun, and overall the series is starting to feel much more like an entry into the Alien franchise, compared to how it started. After doing some research, it turned out for these later episodes, there were more writers on board as well as other directors to do the individual episodes, and maybe that's what saved it in the end. But I am starting to enjoy these so much more, and I'm excited to see how it all unfolds, even if we can pretty much predict the actual ending. I'm still holding off on giving the series a rating, saving that for the final and the season wrap up. But if you've been holding off from checking out this show, I would highly suggest that this is the best time to start tuning in and jumping online to discuss possible theories of where it's all going to go. I want to thank you all for checking out the video. What did you think of the latest episode? What do you think of the series overall so far? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, share and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to smash that bell icon to stay up to date with all our latest releases. I have been your host Sarah, and thank you for being here with me today. Have a wonderful day and take care. Goodbye. Okay, baby. All the hair coming off. Oh, good girl.